Hello everyone, this is Rachel Kirkland here, the Modern Shaman, and thanks for being with me this week for another YouTube question and answer video. Before I jump into the question of the week, I will say, if you're new here to our community, feel free to hit that little thumbs up button or the bell so that you can get notifications for every video that comes out. I try to put a new video out every Friday, so if you're interested in subscribing and wanting to get updates, hit that bell, comment, share these with your friends, and just keep our community open. It's a beautiful space to just feel like you're continually able to learn and grow amongst people that are into what you're into and open and sharing and supportive. So feel free to connect. Also, I will say, if you're interested in one-on-one sessions or kind of growing more in your own personal development, psychic sessions, shamanic healing sessions, as well as mentorship in terms of your own psychic gifts, feel free to look up my website, which is themodernshaman.net. There's all sorts of information there, and you can kind of just dive in deeper in your sense of connection. All right, so let's dive into the question of the week. I'm going to read it, and then we'll tune in. Okay, so she says, "Hi Rachel, I'm so grateful for this channel. I've watched all of your videos more than once, and I'm always getting something new from them." I just want to say thank you for saying that. I do these videos, but I'm just a person also. So, it's funny. It's like you forget that the person making the videos is just as human as you, and it means a lot to me when I read stuff like that. I don't overlook it, and it does mean a lot to me. I feel like the community energy is so important as we're growing as an evolutionary consciousness on this earth. So it's such a beautiful space to hear back from you guys. So thank you. I truly am always touched by things that people say. It means a lot. Okay, so here's her question. She said, "My question is about hurt. I've been deeply hurt by people in my life throughout my childhood and all growing up. But how do we stay grounded when so many have hurt us and even hurt our family? I live in Ontario, Canada, and I have no clue where I can get help with spiritual advice like this. So your channel has helped me so much. Thank you for reading my question." So the topic of hurt and suffering, and that is a deep one. I think we can all relate to that. I'm already feeling it. I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Where do I want to start with this? I'm going to try to just be very specific with your question. How do we stay grounded when so many have hurt us and hurt those that we love? Whether it's family or just people that we care about. I'm going to give you the short answer. It's not an easy answer, but it is the short answer, which is to choose love. Love anyway. Again, it doesn't mean that that's easy, but it is the best choice. It's the best choice for you, first of all, because love is the highest vibrational alignment that we can attain, that we can embody. So it feels better, period. It doesn't mean it's easy. It is a practice, and especially when we have been deeply hurt and wounded and suffering, or we've had to witness the suffering of those that we love, the choice may seem painful even in itself to choose love. But that's my advice, and you asked for mine. It may not be the same as everyone else's, and it may not be relevant for everyone, but I will say that in my experience, the more that you can practice this choice of choosing to love anyway. I mean, even in the minute detail, I'm looking at your question, like, how can I be more loving? How can I be love in this experience? How can I feel love in this experience in your own sense of self? Not requiring anything from anyone else, not requiring them to see they're wrong and ask for your forgiveness, not requiring for them to change and be a better person and be nice and stop bullying, not requiring anything of anyone else. Just coming back into your sense of self, your sense of empowerment, your sense of love, your vibrational core. Coming to that space over and over again. That's what I mean by it's a practice. And asking yourself, how can I be more loving in this moment? How can I experience more love? How can I be love now? And sometimes it's as simple as I need to breathe and I need to relax. Or I can forgive. And let me tell you one thing about forgiveness. This is going to sound strange, but I always get the clairvoyant image, this vision, when it comes to forgiveness, that it's a coin. I don't know where this came from. Maybe this is something I came up with as a child, because the imagery is from my childhood of, I don't know if y'all remember that video game, Super Mario Brothers. I think it was that video game, but it was like you had your little character, and this was when Nintendo first came out way back in the day, and there were always these kind of spinning coins that would hover in the air, and your little character would like jump up and bling, try to get the coin. And for some reason, every time I think of the concept or the process of forgiveness, I see this image of the little coin kind of hovering above in the moment, similar to like when somebody gets an idea and they have the imagery of this, light bulb right above their head. But forgiveness to me feels like this spinning coin, this bonus, if I can achieve it, if I can remember that it's there, that it's just hovering right above my head. All I have to do is jump up and like bling. And as I'm reaching for forgiveness in that moment, if that feels relevant, even for the simplest things, they may not have any sort of consciousness about the situation, the other person involved. But in that moment, if I can say one side of the coin in my head, I forgive you for such and such. I forgive you for causing pain in my life. I forgive you for doing such and such to me, for saying such and such to my family. Whatever it may be. And then the flip side of that, the double side of forgiveness that oftentimes we forget, but it's so important because it moves us through a sense of acceptance and responsibility of our own participation in the moment, of our own energy and how we're processing even the idea of forgiveness. And the other side of that coin is to say, and I forgive myself for judging you. I forgive myself for resenting you. I forgive myself for being angry at the situation. I forgive myself for resisting change. Whatever it is that you feel like you're contributing to the energy of pain and suffering in your own experience of this event. Because some people can experience events and not at all be affected in the ways that we are affected. We're all affected differently by pain or by suffering. We all process it energetically differently, emotionally differently. So having that level of reaching up for the coin of forgiveness, seeing that it does have those two sides, or however many sides. Sometimes there's more than one person involved. So there are levels of, I forgive you for this, and I forgive myself for such and such. I forgive myself for judging you. I forgive myself for pushing your buttons, for triggering whatever it is that you feel like you'd like to take ownership to move through the suffering of that. It's so important to have that double-sided aspect to the coin of forgiveness. That is a very empowering energy towards love. And it's much more mutable or movable. There's much more movement and flow to it than just a one-sided sense of forgiveness, because all of that energy is focused on another instead of moving the energy through you. And how can I shift? How can I move in a space that embodies love? And again, it does come down to you, which I feel like you know that in the way that you ask the question. How do we stay grounded when so many have hurt us? Because it's a question about yourself. It's a question about how do you handle it? Because essentially you want your life to be better. Their life is in their domain of their own free will, whoever has hurt you, but how you process it, how you move through the rest of your life, how you utilize it to fuel your sense of healing for others, or embodying your sense of truth and love and harmony and expression, and boldness or truth or whatever it is that you need to share from that space is so important. So that ownership, and it's not that you're owning the suffering, it's just that, well, it is in a way, it's just that you're owning the sense of lesson from it, the sense of growth. And when I say lesson, it doesn't mean like you're under a test. It means that there is the opportunity for progression through it. It's not just a flat true or false. It is a sense of progression. I have learned this. There's a moral to the story. This is my takeaway. And you get to decide that. And it's different for every person. Two people can go through the same event and both of them can have completely different, both completely valid, profound takeaways from that experience, because they get to choose how they process it. All right? So the processing is the key here. And I know I said choose love, and that is the sense of choosing the higher process through, choosing that as your ending point. That is the energy that you're heading towards at all points, at all times. I will say also, when I mention suffering, that suffering at the beginning stage, when you're first hurt, when the pain is deepest, it does need a sense of validation. It needs a space. You can't suffocate it out. You can't quiet and push it away. It will find some other way to bubble up, like a little effervescence in the body, in your field. So, simple validation of the suffering. I love Thich Nhat Hanh. He has some beautiful words about suffering, and even the Buddhism practice of meeting God through suffering. It's an acknowledgement of that space. Instead of devalidating it or taking away any sort of power from it, it has a sense of, I see that you're suffering, I'm sorry for your suffering, and I'm here for you. Instead of trying to fix it or oh, we can't go there, it just gives a little bit of space for it to be. Now remember, you still get to choose how you process that energy. It's not the end of the story. In fact, it's actually just the beginning. It's a lot of times just the fibers from which the fire is started. And you get to choose where that energy flows, where it goes through there, how it's processed, and how you utilize all of the magic of that hurt and suffering. Because make no mistake, there is magic in it. There is serious creation power in the depth of suffering. It's such a profound, holy space. Very sanctified in terms of its aloneness. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in a space of no one can ever truly know the depth of someone else's suffering. And in that way, it's something that completely connects you and God alone. It's your personal space. It's the same with the heights of your ecstasy. No one else can fully understand the heights of your ecstasy more than you and God alone. It's a very sanctified, holy, alone space, which is beautiful, set apart. Even if there's others that are involved in it, it's you alone that gets to decide what to do with it. And that validation, that honoring of that moment is also a beautiful way to transmute the energy from feeling negative to moving into that positive towards love. Realizing what a profound gift of depth and awareness and perspective it is. Because make no mistake, difficulty, pain, suffering, hurt, these are moments of profound spiritual growth. It's the dirt, right? It's the mud with where we're planted. And it's okay. There's beauty there. When we validate, we see it, and we utilize it as that fertile soil from which to grow. I'm going to come back around to that first statement that I said at the beginning, which was choose love anyways. Choose love, choose love. And again, it is a practice. Just because the words are simple, it doesn't mean that the active choice and practice is easy. And it's known that it takes at least 2 months. I've heard 66 days to be exact, to change a habit to make it become automatic, to move into the subconscious realms, to where we do it without thinking or processing. So try something with your hurt and your pain of choosing love, or that reaching for the forgiveness coin for 66 days. Give yourself a sense of practice if it's important to you. Move into that space of true empowerment with this energy. That's my encouragement to you guys. I love you very much, and I'll be back here next week. Blessings.